We are live with Stephen Leathwaite from the UK. Say hi.
Hi everybody.
Uh, Great to have him here. This is not a scheduled Q&A. This is a last-minute fill-in for a cancellation we had. And today we have a little bit of a shortened time today, but for those of you that don't know, my name is Dr. J. I'm here for FCM, for First Circle Magic. And today what we're going to do is go our usual format of asking the questions. We have the voted questions that the viewers came up with and voted on, and I saw that Stephen, unlike most of our past guests, actually looked at some of the questions. So he kind of knows what's coming, which is a good thing. So we'll get through those, and once we get through the voted questions, if we have time at the end, we will go and ask open floor for new questions to come on.
Sure.
All right, so without further ado, please welcome Mr. Stephen Leathwaite.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, let me start off with the first question, and I do apologize. I will be looking away, asking because I'm looking at a different screen, so please accept my apologies. The first question is, do you have a favorite mentalism plot or effect?
I don't really. I do love. I mean, I do love mentalism in a whole. Just reading someone's mind really, and body language and stuff like that is probably my favourite sort of thing. At the moment, as you know, I've got the new release Cyborg. I don't want to go straight into that. So that's really the one I'm playing with at the moment more than anything. You know, probably different countries and stuff like that is probably my favourite. Getting somebody to go, imagine they're in another country somewhere, and then start telling them about the cultures of that country and the foods they eat and stuff like that is where is one of my favourite plots at the moment where I'm going into, and movies as well, which is another good one. Anything like that really is where I'm into. Star signs, that kind of thing. You know, getting people's star signs. So yeah, so that's basically what I'm really into. You know, Cyborg is just hundreds of different effects I can do with it. So that's what I'm into at the moment. So yeah. So that's my plot, if you know what I mean. My effect that I use most at the time. So yeah, so it's not to do with cards, but yeah, well, sort of, but different types of cards, not playing cards, you know.
Well, yeah, you know, speaking of mentalism and play cards, I want to touch on very quickly. Now, do you have a favorite mentalism style effect to perform with your spiral principle?
My spiral principle. Yeah, the spiral principle is like, again, it's one of those things that have got it is a principle, so you've got hundreds of different effects you can do with that. You know, so it depends what environment I'm in when I'm working. So if I'm doing a corporate company or something like that, and I will do more of get a massive group together and do it as one whole piece. But if I'm doing sort of like restaurants and things like that, then it depends how busy the restaurant is, so you can do it a bit quicker effects, like think stop, you know, so that's a much more quicker effect. So yeah, so really it's that kind of thing. Message from other people now, sorry. So yeah, so spiral principle is another massive effect that you can do go in so many different directions. There's not one particular effect on there that I don't not love. Do you know what I mean? So, but think stop's a quickie to do with it, you know. So yeah.
That's a really for you, those of you that are not familiar with the spiral effect, check it out there. Especially you guys that are fans of Out of This World, it is fantastic for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next question for you then is: there a particular card magician or card book that influenced you more than others?
It's a bit of a strange one. When I grew up really on my own, you know. So I never really joined the Magic Society. I never joined the Magic Club. So I was quite out of the loop with a lot of things. It was mainly I was just learned it on my own stuff, you know, just doing my own thing. If I look at it now, who do I admire? Thank you very much. Thanks. Excuse me, that was my father coming in there. My staff. All right, thank you. Cheers. More
the merrier. More the merrier.
More the merrier. Yeah, big party. Sorry, I've lost the question now. What was the question? What was the question again?
No. Is there a particular card magician or card book that has influenced you more than others?
No, no. Strangely enough, there's not. I can't really call and say that there was one particular person that I followed that I would say that I really that a card magician, particular card magician that inspired me to become who I am today. As I say, I never really read. I don't read books really, and that sounds a bit mad. People say that the books is where the knowledge is, and because I'm dyslexic, I can't read well. Well, I can read, but I can't take the information in. So it was always just getting a pack of cards and playing with a deck, and just coming up with different controls, different moves, and stuff. If I wanted something to happen, I'd make the move, you know. And obviously, there was DVDs out there that I watched where the controls. I would say, if anything, the Encyclopedia of Card Magic, I think is a really good set from 1 to 8 by Darryl. So I would say that that's where I learned a lot of controls and moves from years ago, if that was the case, like the hot shot cuts and stuff like that. So yes, there's not really one particular card magician that I can say that I took that information from, you know, and inspired to. I never really thought about that before, to be honest. I've just sort of gone along the process. I've 32 years of being in magic. I've never actually, as I say, I don't read, so it's mainly just videos I watch and DVDs, and that's why it kind of grates me sometimes when I hear people say, "You've got to read, because if you don't read, you can't know anything about magic." You know, I've heard people say it so many times, and it makes me angry because I have trouble reading. So, or the comprehension of reading and following that. You know, so yes, I've just done my own thing. You know, just do my own thing. I think if you do that yourself anyway, you'll progress better, because you're understanding the cards and the mechanics of cards and the flow of cards and you'll come up with your own little ideas and routines. And don't get me wrong, sometimes as I'm going along I think, oh, that's a nice move, that's a nice control, and then go, hold on, has that been done before? And it's like sometimes it has, you know, and you think, tracks, this is a really good one, you know, but it doesn't mean you still can't. You know, it just means you're on the right track in your mind of following that route. You know, you shouldn't get disappointed, because you are on that route.
Well, that's very good advice. Now, allow me, if you will, extend to ask you about dyslexia and card magic. You said you can read, but you have a problem processing information, which
Correct.
I think is the problem that most dyslexic have. With various degrees, of course. Most of them can read, but they cannot really easily process that. Do you ever find yourself in trouble using cards when maybe your dyslexia kicks in? Is there anything like that has ever happened to you that you might address for other magicians that have that problem?
It's not the point of when it kicks in. I think you get, as I said, because you don't read, doesn't mean, or you don't like reading. When I was it's the learning process of if you're from somebody else's product or their effect. For instance, when I was very young, I started when I was 7, and my dad used to buy the effects, or you know, I'd use my pocket money to get the effects and stuff. We didn't have internet or video. It was more on it was more instruction sheets, right? That was written out in another. It felt like another language, you know. So you look at it and you go, oh, I can't do that. So my dad used to actually learn the effect, and then he would teach me the effect. So I was fortunate in that sense that my dad used to teach me it. That guy that just walked in there, right? So you know, so if it weren't for him, I wouldn't really be into it as much as I am now, I guess, because he used to take me away to shop, because shops were very scarce. They weren't around. There's probably only a few shops in England at that time, and I swear we used to book holidays around magic shops, because we used to go to, like, on a holiday, and then he would literally say, let's have a look in the Yellow Pages, which is a big book of all businesses, right, in the telephone box. And we'd be looking through them, and then he'd phone direct inquiries and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he'd say, oh yeah, there is one here, and it was just round the corner from the telephone box, you know what I mean? It was he's either psychic, right, or we were just lucky, you know, or he set it all up. So I'm sure he did that. I'm gonna have to ask him, because I keep thinking that. I bet he said no, but he probably did. And And then I'd buy an effect, you know, and then I'd take it home, and he would teach it me, or back to the holiday park or where we were, and that he would teach it me, and then I'd go out and do it, you know. So yeah, so reading's very difficult. When actually performing cards, it doesn't affect me in that way, because a lot of dyslexic people are very creative anyway, and their hands, they use their hands a lot. So it's not going to be an issue. There are things like dyspraxia and stuff like that that some people have with the coordination, and that's a different story altogether. So because I'm cross-lateral as well, where half the signal doesn't send across to the side of the brain, send it back, right? So the information doesn't bounce back and forwards. So my memory is very poor. So if for instance, if I looked at a board and the word said the cat sat on the mat, and I had to write it down, by the time I got to the end of the word, the sentence, I'd have to come back to the first word to look up at the board again to see the. So it'd be literally the cat sat on the mat. So I'd have to write each word individually. I mean, it's improved over time. I'm not that bad now, but when I was younger, I was. So it was very difficult to sort of learn. You have to keep reading and reading and reading to get the information that you need for the move. But it's a lot better now. So that's probably why I can make my own moves up, my own control stuff.
Well, thank you for that answer. I'm sure the other magicians that have had that issue will appreciate that, because I had a friend of mine that was so severely dyslexic he couldn't even read. He also had what is called Da Vinciism, which is where they see everything in absolute mirror. And there are times he tried to do card peeks and things like that. He couldn't do it because when he saw the card, he couldn't identify it on the go, you know, because of that issue. So I appreciate that answer.
Yeah, yeah.
The next question I have for you is: do you have a creation of your own that you are the most proud of?
I do. I do. I do. It's not out yet. It's basically a pass. The
butterfly pass.
It is the butterfly pass. Yes, it is. Yes.
Terry Ray asked about when are we gonna see it.
Terry Ray, yeah. My butterfly pass is my baby. It's got on now that it's more on. There's 4 different versions of it now. So we've got not just the butterfly pass, but I've also got the Vulcan pass, the Guardian shift, the Vulcan fan pass, the top turnover card pass, the flash changes, card at any numbers. There's lots of things, but the main 3 passes are the Vulcan pass, the Guardian shift, and the butterfly pass. So they're the 3 main ones, and then there's effects that run off that. And I use it a lot every day. It's every day. But it started off, I'll tell you how it came about. That it must have been 15 years ago, going on 15 years ago. A friend came around to my house with a video, not DVD, it was a video. And
back when VHS was king, right? You know.
But when VHS was king, and it beat the Betamax, right? Bad. It beat them bad with a stick. And even though Betamax was probably better than VHS, to be fair. And kids are now, if there's any kids here watching now, they're going, "What the hell is Betamax?"
8-track and vinyl disc. What are these things?
That's it. That's it. So, and he brought a video around for me, and it was John Carey, not John Carey, it was John Carey, and he was a guy that sort of, it looked like he had loads of rings on his fingers and stuff like that, right? It was a proper, and he had a hat on and all this, and he was quite tall, and he was using Waddington cards, and he did this pass anyway, and I went, "Excuse me," and I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and it was just invisible. I couldn't see nothing. And he just kept doing all these different effects, and I was like, "Wow, that's really impressive." And he literally inspired me to do that. Excuse me, sorry, I should turn that off. Just, right. So yeah, he literally inspired me to try the pass, right? Because my mate was like, "Do the pass." I said, "Well, I don't need to do the pass. I've never, in 20 years of doing magic, I've never had to do the pass. You know, I said, I never needed it." When I saw him do this, I was like, "I've got to learn it." So I tried to do it, and I couldn't. I was flashing all over the place, and I was like, "Oh my God, this isn't easy. It looks easy, but it's not easy." You know, and I was like, "I can't get my head around it." So I came up with a handling for it, and I tried to I tried to do it, and I was still learning it at the time. I had to break it all down, and And my mate said, I said to my mate, what do you think of this? And I showed him, and he says, you're flashing there, you're flashing. And I was like, am I? I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I'm not. And then I did it again, and he went, no, you're flashing. And I says, I'm not. Like, you know, I was like, this guy's having me on, like, you know, because I'm looking in the mirror, I can't see the flash, but he can. So I kept looking, and I kept honing it down, honing it down, honing it down, and then to the point where, if it wasn't for my mate Paul Bannister just saying to me he could see it all the time, in the end it wouldn't be what it is, because it was like pushing me to get it better and better and better and better. So I finally did it to him, and I says, right, am I doing it now? Am I not doing it now? And he just went, I can't tell anymore, Steve. He says, to be honest with you, he says, I don't know if you're doing it or not. And I went, thank you. And that was me done. I was done. But from there came more and more, you know, more and more different ways of different handlings of doing it, and different controls from where it goes to the bottom to the top to the center to second from bottom to second from top, you know, to whatever position I want it to be in, really. And there's just it's my baby. It's one I've got more passion for than anything else, really. People have always asked me, like 10 years ago, there's a guy asked me to bring it out. I never did, and even like I saw him a couple of years back at Blackpool, and he went, "Are you bringing that pass out yet, or what?" And I says, "I am, but I don't know when, but I do want to bring it out, you know." So yes, it will come out. It will come out.
So do you have an idea yet, just about how far off the market it is?
It's not far. It's not far. I mean, with my current situation, health situation, is that it is on the go right now. I'm just planning out, because there's so much more material now. It's probably going to be a two to three disc set, you know. So I'm looking at trying to squeeze it into 2 if I can. I don't want it to go 3. I'd rather just be 2, even 1 if I can get it. But I think it's going to be 2. And I'm in the talks now with somebody's offered to do all the filming and everything, because I want it to be absolutely full HD. I want it to be streamlined and smooth, you know. I want it to look really professional, because it is my I don't want that with all my products if I can, but this one in particular, I really want it to be that, you know. So I'm really excited about it. So it's not going to be far at all. I literally spoke to somebody yesterday. I've got a meeting with them next week. We're literally planning that out, and then we're filming, basically, as soon as we've got the idea of it, the full structure. So it was meant to be out for Blackpool, but then somebody else turned around to me and says, "You're better releasing Cyborg than that one at the moment." So, and he was probably right. To be honest, it was better in this order. So that's where we've gone with it. And then in light of current issues with my health, it's now a definite. So that'll probably be my last one for a while, for at least a year. Before I release it, because I've got loads of others. I've got 13 ghosts. Excuse me. I've got 13 ghosts. I've got coin effects, new prototypes and stuff like that. I've had here for a year and a half. Actual coin gimmicks. I've got tons of controls for downloads and stuff. You know. So yeah, sandwich routines. There's just loads of material that I haven't even released yet, and stuff that I forgot. You know.
We look forward to all that now.
Yeah, that's
right. The next question I have for you is, well, we answered the question about the mentalism part of it. Now, do you have a favorite card plot or card effect?
Yeah, card plot is really probably card to possible impossible location. I think is probably one of my favourites. The John Kennedy Mystery Box utility device is an amazing thing. But a friend of mine just brought one out, Mark Southworth, which is the box, and that for me is just an awesome piece of kit. It takes it to a whole new realm of magic. So I would definitely go on that route, because you can do so much with it. But card to impossible location is an amazing tool, amazing effect, amazing plot. It just gets people every time, you know. To have something in front of them at full view, and then choose a card and it appears to be the same card is really strong. So really strong. So yeah, anything like that. You know, anything like that. I'll do anything. Me, I'm pretty much an all-rounder. I'll do from mentalism to card tricks to coins to comedy magic. My magic's kind of changed over the years, to be honest, as it does with everybody, I think, you know. It's not one particular thing that I'm into. I never used to put a lot of comedy into my magic, or quite a little bit more serious and darker. I used to, and sometimes I incorporate both. But over the last few years, since I met Wayne Goodman, really, I don't know whether he's on the call or not, but since
he is. He wants to know where his rent is.
Where his rent is. Yeah. About right. Yes. So since I met Wayne Goodman, my magic's deteriorated. It's gone awful, and I can't do anything. No, seriously. Right. Since I met Wayne, because Wayne does a lot of comedy in his magic, right? And I thought maybe I'll start putting it in. So there's a lot more comedy now gone into my magic as well. So which is good, very good. I think everybody should put a bit of comedy into their magic, and depending on the environment, of course, and what they're doing, obviously. But
right.
But I love doing the comedy now. It gets good, obviously, apart from the laughs. It's fun for me to do, So yeah, there's a bit of both. So yeah.
Well, that comedy is always different too. You never know who's going to react how or who's going to say what.
On the edge, and that's the thing with Wayne. He's so quick-witted. He fires fast. You can say something, and he'll come out with something witty back at you, or at least try to. 99% of the time, he'll get you. He will have an answer for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
So, but apart from once where I got him where he had no answers. That was quite funny.
Next question for you is, what is your creative process like?
So
is there maybe to rephrase that a little bit, when creating an effect, what is the first thing you think about? Is it the outcome, the method, the mechanics, or what?
Okay. It varies really. Sometimes I'll see the plot. I think, oh, it'd be good to get to this result, and then I will create a means and a way to get to that result. So, for instance, with what was it? Flip Flop off Lethal Weapons. That was I wanted to get a card from the center of the pack face up, right, to the top of the deck, right. So a spectator's card, I wanted to get from the center face up to the top, right. So what I did was I just literally came up with a way where it can jump to the top, right? And the way I wanted that to happen was so in other words, I wanted the card from the center to the top. So I had to create a move for that to happen. So I did it that way that time, So where other times I will have, I will come up with a control, yeah. I'll just sit there playing with the back of cards, and also now I'll have a control, and I'll think, oh, what can I do with that? And then I will create the plot afterwards, So, or the result afterwards. So that all depends on which comes first, the chicken or the egg, really, So it all depends on that. But generally, two different ways. Then, of course, comes the language patterns, the pattern you put after it, because I believe sometimes you'll have a move that will look very unnatural, very uncomfortable, and you would use your language patterns to create a normality within that unnaturalism within the move. So, for instance, if I wanted you to put a card behind your back, and then take a card and turn it face down and place it in, this is a very unnatural movement, right? Why would you do this? This is not normal. So for me, I would come up with the language pattern of, well, I don't want you to know whereabouts you place it into the pack, so it becomes truly random. Right? Even if you think to yourself, I want to put it into the top quarter of the pack while it's behind my back. Yeah, while it's behind your back, it's a little bit different and offsetting to the mind, where you could miss that quarter and it could be a bit further down than you think. So it just becomes unnatural. I forgot what I was going to say. So random is the word I'm looking for. It just becomes a random place you place that card, right? So now you've turned. Do you understand what that means, right? You get that, right?
Yes.
So you, as same as you, I've nodded and they agree, and from them the affirmation will come from them. So okay, yeah, that makes sense, because he doesn't want me to go, okay, I'll place it just here, right? When, as a matter of fact, I'm hiding something with the move, with them doing that, by them doing that. So this has now gone from a natural to, oh yeah, I get it, I understand. So so not only have you created the first process of the effect from the result you want, you've now used language pattern to mask everything as well, So language is important. within the effect. Not always, but in general, for me, it is the way I create.
Very good. Speaking of creations, there was one that you have a question that says, "What was your inspiration for Blind Date?"
Blind Date. Well, I pretty much answered it. Wayne, really. Wayne was part of it because he was doing a lot of comedy magic and stuff like that. And I thought, well, this is where I transitioned and I evolved from that. So Wayne was the one really that got me thinking about comedy routines. And there was actually going to be 3 parts to Blind Date. There was another couple of effects that we were thinking about doing as with it, but we didn't in the end. One was serial killer, and one was GPS, which was a holiday sort of map sort of thing, and it's all the same principle. 3 different effects where you can do one for like the Frankie and Benny's type of restaurant for families, GPS, right? Serial killer for the more darker a gig that you go to, and then Blind Date would be the one for the student unions and stuff like that, or the nightclubs and whatnot, the vodka revs, you know, that kind of thing, you know, on the top, which Wayne knows full well about, right? So yeah, so it was like meant to be that sort of thing. So you got effect for every occasion, really. That was the concept. But we stuck with Blind Date because I just really like the comedy value of Blind Date. And if you're single as well, it can get you a happy night.
Right?
Yeah. But in moderation, because you'll get yourself bad back.
Well, now let's go back a little bit. You sort of answered a little bit earlier in this, but well, actually, I don't know if I'll answer that. It says, where do you get your start in magic and at what age? You said about 7 years old, right?
Yeah, I started when I was 7 years of age. My dad showed me a coin trick, the French drop, basically. And I started to wonder, why do all dads know the French drop? You know, it's like
all the Uncle Bobs and all the Uncle Dads.
All the Uncle Bobs, yeah, they all know the French drop. So I start to think to myself, if I go to a gig and I'm in a restaurant and I turn around and say, here, watch this coin, I take the coin and I go, like, right, yeah. All the kids are going and the mothers are going, that's really cool, you know, but the dad's just sitting there going, I won't say nothing, I won't say a word.
Oh, we take the coin like this. Walk your uncle, finish your aunt, and let's go.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So they all know it. They all know it. Don't get it. So yeah. So be careful when you're doing French drops to the older generation. They all know
it. Not original to us, Sonny boy. You're gonna have to do better than not.
That's right.
Now, what is your best motivation for continuing to practice the art of magic?
I don't need motivation to continue the art of magic. It's part of my blood. It's part of me. It's part of who I am. It's just the learning it each day is just something new. There's always something new. Doesn't matter if you've done a move or a control or an effect. There's something new in it every day. It changes. It evolves. You know, you can do one effect just from like the French drop, and the next day it'll be some miracle effect that you've just created. You know what I mean? It means so much to me. It's been my best friend all my life. You know, I don't need motivation for that. Somebody said to me the other day,
it's like breathing for you. Then
it's what?
It's like breathing for you. Then you have to breathe.
Like for me, yeah, I can't live without it. I mean, there's times where I took a break for a very short time or slowed it down a bit. But it's always been there, and comes back. You know, it's when I was a kid, I grew up on a holiday park, a holiday centre. You know, it was like my dad used to sell seafood in there and that, and I'd have to make a new friend. So because they'd come into the holiday centre and then they'd have the parties and then they'd go right, and then next thing a new batch of people would come in. So I'd have to learn to make friends, right? So the way I did it was through magic. So each night, just like instantaneous friend, you know, and then they'd go, and then it'd be the next week, an instantaneous friend, you know, and that's where really I learned a lot of people skills as well, how to get on with people and connect with them, you know, how to change and your personality and mold yourself into their their way of living their society, or second position in, or as what me and Wayne call a chameleon. It's the chameleon behaviour, which we talked about on our Road Major podcast before now, where we talk about how we blend into the environment that we work in. So from whether it's corporate company or whether it's just a really bad bar, you know, where it's rough as rough, you know, and you can let yourself go and you become more like they are. Then the next one, the corporate company, high-end corporate show, and you would become this penguin. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, you'd sit there and you'd stand tall, and then you'd speak correctly, and, you know, and push the boundaries a little bit if you could and whatnot. So, so it's all. Magic for me has always been in my blood. It always will be. I can't get enough of it. I get emotional when I think about how it's helped me out through the years, not only personally, but and brought smiles on other people's faces, like, you know, and you shared it. You know, you shared a moment with somebody, you know, and they're buzzing from it, you know, and they're happy. And they remember you years later. You know, they carry the card in your pocket still, or whatever. It's there, you know. So I can't say enough about it. So I don't need motivation. Motivation's always there. If you're talking about motivation to learn a move or a control, that's a different story, right? Because now you're struggling with some kind of control or move, and you think, should I just give up with this? You know, and you shouldn't, because I think everybody can do any move, any control, anything out there. And I've always believed it, right? Unless, of course, you've got some disability that prohibits it. Mentally is where it's all at. The more you do it, the more natural it will become, and the better you'll get at it. And when you crack it, that moment of cracking that move, and you get that control down, is where you'll suddenly go, wow, and the reward is great. The reward is great for me. I buzz off it. I'm like, got ya, you know. And I don't give up. I just keep going until I get it. Or, you know, I don't think there's any. I mean, that's a bold statement, but I haven't anything that I've really put my mind to. I'm not done. You know, the move is there. I've got it. You know, if I put my mind to it and I really want to learn it, I've got it. But you can't just go, okay, I want to do this, and just go, okay, it's not working, so it's not right. It's not right. You really have to be in that zone. And it sounds like New Age, but there's a zone where you zone into, and you can sort of deconstruct every little piece of movement within your hands, and then you get that moment of knowing where you need to go, because otherwise you'll see yourself flashing. You think, okay, I can see that flashing there. What do I need to do to stop that from flashing? Right? What movement do I have to do? What angle do I have to be at to be able to stop that from flashing? And if I am at that angle and these people from here to here see it, are they going to see it? Right? So, and if they are, then obviously that in that environment you can't do it. But there are environments that you can do it in, and I think that's why a lot of magicians that turn around and say, I bought this trick and it's terribly angly, and I'm just going to stuff it in the drawer, right? So, and that really annoys me, because magic is based on angles, right? So if I walk into a restaurant to do a gig, the first thing I do is I look at my angles. Well, any gig, I look at my angles. I look at my room. I look at my route. I look at my reset points, you know, and then if I'm standing here and I'm going to do a trick and there's people behind me on a table here, and I start saying, okay, and I'm trying to do something here, they're going to see this, right? So, or if I palm a card down to my arm by my side, they're going to see me palming this card. So I adjust my angles to bring myself in, and they can't see it no more. So angles really, it doesn't matter, is not an issue for anybody. And it's a shame they threw it in the drawer, because if they'd have just created that environment, grab two, if it's a trick just for two people, you can only do for two people, or one person, right? You know, it doesn't mean the trick's bad. It just means that you've got to find that one person in the room that's secluded to everybody else where you can perform it, right? Yeah. And then if you perform it, you and that one person will have this magical moment that this person will be blown away by, you know, and you will buzz up more probably than any other table you've done in that room, because you've created that moment, right? You've not only, if somebody needs to be moved to here, move them. You know, so
it's not just the magician molding themselves to the society around them. It's also sometimes taking the environment and molding it to your needs.
Exactly. Yes, for sure. You know, take that person, move them into the position they want them to be in. You know, if they're standing, if they're sitting down having a meal, obviously don't go, hey, you stand up, move over there. Right? I've got a trick.
You've got to look good from over there. Get out.
Yeah, it doesn't look good from here, but if you follow me to the other side of the room, out into the car park, I can show you a fantastic trick where I levitate near that crane.
Back up about 70 feet, you look good.
Yeah, that's
Make me look really good. You know. Um, Now, Wayne Goodman actually asked another question for you, and he says, serious question.
It's no,
Yeah, well, it quite is. It's a two-part here. Stephen is known globally as a close-up card and mentalism performer, but growing up with the holiday camps, why wasn't he drawn to stage style of performance? And also, in the camps, did you ever consider the con artist route, scamming money from holiday makers?
very good questions. Very good questions. Stage. I never. I mean, I did do stage when I was younger. You know, I had big illusions and stuff like that, and I did that route. It just didn't feel. I just didn't get it. For me, it didn't feel. I stood on the stage and I felt quite lost, quite open, and I couldn't seem to hold on to the audience. You know, that I see what Wayne does. When Wayne performs, I see the audience, they're captivated, you know, they're laughing, they're cheering, and when I get on there, it just feels like the timing for me is just completely off. I feel empty. It's like I'll finish a trick and then I'll turn around to pick something up, and there's a gap there, you know, there's that moment of gap, there's that empty gap, and it's like, that don't feel right, you know, and I can feel it as I'm doing it, and then that makes my physiology and my performance completely out of whack. So it didn't feel comfortable for me to do that. The only way I could that I really enjoyed it, when I lived in America, when I did a bit in Vegas and stuff like that, I did a bit on stage then and close up, and that was all right. And I also did. We have a stage. Going back to the stage thing, when I was in the holiday camps, I watched everybody else do it, and they're great. They're really good. They're confident and strong. For me, it didn't fit my persona. Where for me, where it was at was when I was up close and personal with the people and I could connect with them. Although I know Wayne says that he connects with everybody in the audience, and I truly believe it because he comes off buzzing, you know. So he must do. I can see it, and I can see it in the people. And I go to the toilet, and I can hear people in the toilet talking about it, you know, because your best critics are in the toilets, right? Yeah. If you sit in the toilet after a show, you'll hear all your critics. You know, you'll hear them say like, "Is he good? What do you think of that?" You know, and they go, "Oh, it's bad." You know, it was good. Oh no, it's bad. I thought it was rubbish. Oh, that was great. So your toilet is where it's all at, where you hear your critics. So yeah, for me, stage wasn't really where it was at. Maybe I just never pushed myself to learn better on the stage. Because I would like to do it. It's not that I wouldn't like to do it. I'd love to be able to feel that confidence and be able to captivate it. You know, but yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to fit with me right now, you know, all that.
Well, now the second half of that question was, did you ever consider the con artist route in trying to scam the money from the tourists?
Nah, I'm not that way inclined. My mum was always too honest. My dad would have been.
Throw him under the bus, just get him out.
I would have done it, you know what I mean? But no, I don't believe in that kind of thing. I'd rather have the enjoyment of seeing the faces smile than take the money from them and then smile and then later on be gutted. I'd rather them take it home knowing the fact that in my mind they can always smile, you know. So it's not really been my scene that, and it's quite easily done, you know. It's quite easy. You could so easily do it.
Or just look at the apartments that are out there. You don't even need to use magic.
No, there's a load of cons out there. You don't need to use magic. No, I mean I have been asked by certain people to make them little boxes to steal jewelry and all that kind of stuff. You know, there is all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to promote that here. But you know, but it has been gone on. But I've never done it. I've always turned around and said no, I don't want to get involved in any of that stuff. Thanks. So yeah.
Good. All right. The next question is from Valentin Kozemnovich. What is the biggest error you made during your career as a magician, and how did you correct it?
It was getting to know Wayne Goodman was the error, and I'm still in the process of correcting that one. He's a pain in my side, that guy, I tell you. But I love him to be.
You'll pay for that later, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will pay for that later. Yeah. By the way, if you want to learn restaurant magic, his book is amazing. There you go. Plug for you, Wayne. You can send me the check in the post. All right.
Smooth. Nice recovery.
Yeah, it was kind of a disjointed disc jockey move, slide her down, slide her up, and get it in there.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on, 2 seconds. What do you mean, Wayne? No. No, I'm not. I'm not mentioning the book again. I've already mentioned it once. I've already no. No, I'm not doing it, mate. I know where to get it from. I'll just contact you on Facebook. Simple as that. Alright, let's speak to you in a bit. Bye. I've got a Skype message now. Hold on a second. There, I've got Skype coming through. This is how busy I am. Come on, where are you? There you go. Alright, cancel that a sec. Right, this is live. Right. This is live.
Yeah, it is live. Yeah, you're live on YouTube.
Yeah. Super. Absolutely love it. Now I'm going to try and get you back now. 2 seconds, right.
So.
Oh, where have you gone? Okay, hold on.
Okay. The next one, the next one for me is coming from Anthony Britton.
Oh,
yeah. When performing in the bar, how do you handle the drunks apart from chatting up their girlfriends?
How do I handle the drunks?
Yes.
I call Anthony around and he punches.
He says apart from chatting up the girlfriends.
Right. Okay. I'll chat up the girlfriend. In that situation, I call Anthony to come round. Oh, good God! Let me tell. I turned it off once. Sorry.
That's all right.
Anthony's Skyping me now. You know what I mean? I've got to turn it off. He's doing it on purpose because he knows. Right. Right. How do you handle the drunks? You handle the drunks in all seriousness. You smile with them, right? You smile with them, and you you just play on them. You can either use heckler jokes to bring them down, right? Or you can and make the one person. It depends how many people there are. But to be honest with you, if you're at a table that's awkward and you know that it's awkward, then do just 2 tricks and say thank you very much, and then move on, right? You know, or even two effects, and then go, because you know that they're just being facetious and they're causing too much trouble, right? But if you've got somebody that's actually generally drunk and having a good laugh with you, then have a good laugh with them back, you know? Be that little bit more blur in your routine if you want, if you think that they're okay for that, you know, because they're obviously drunk and they're going to do that. So you can throw them little bluer jokes in, and you'll get away with that sort of thing. And if you heckle that one person, then their mates will laugh at him, you know, and it's not at him, it's with, you try and get the equal balance, because you don't want confrontation from a few drunks, right? You want to work it. So it's a precarious situation, but you can probably have some of your best performances out of those, you know. And if they're that drunk, you can put stuff into the pockets, you know, and pretend the SIM cards that aren't even there, you know, and then make it jump to pockets, you know, load 2 people's pockets, you know, take watches or anything, you know. There's so much you can do with a drunk person, bar from just get angry with yourself. And you should never do that, you know. Go like, oh my God, I don't want to perform to them, you know. They're the best ones to perform to. I've been in the situation where I've seen a pile of drunk lads over here, and I'm performing to some girls here, you know, and I prefer to the girls, to be honest, but as you do, right? I'm seeing these, and I'm getting blind date out just to do it to these girls, you know. Which one of you is single? You know, because obviously if you're going to go on a blind date tonight, you can't be with anybody. That way I know that girl's single, then it's great, let's do it with you, and then end up like on the pool. Anyway, seeing the guys over here, I'm thinking, they look too rowdy, I do not want to really go over there at the moment, I don't know what's going to happen, right? Yeah, and then next thing you know, I'm doing magic, and they start shouting over, oi, magic boy, get your butt over here, let's see some magic. You know, and you go, yeah, I'll be there in a sec, give me 2 seconds, lads. Right, you know, you're thinking, oh, I don't want to go over there. Right, you know what I mean, right? You know, and I'm thinking, no, I'm going to have a nightmare over there. So the girls are like laughing, joking, and then they go, are you coming over or what? You know, and you're like, yeah, I'll be there. Give me 2 seconds, I'm just in the middle of performance here, and then I'll be there. Brilliant, lads, see you in a sec. Right, you know, blah, 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 blah. Then you finish up here, and then you go to walk off, or, you know, but I just go over to them in the end. I just go over to them, go over, and I think, I'm going to do 2 tricks. And I end up standing there probably 25 minutes. You know what I mean? Because it's going so bloody well at the end of it, you know, and they're loving it that much. And they're like, no way! And the reactions are going crazy. And they're like, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? And they're doing this, you know, and and it's so much more, your mind thinks you're going to have a nightmare, right? But in fact, it turns out to probably be the best table that you did out of everybody, you know. So And then you can go to another table where you think that they're all really friendly, and you get there and they'll be miserable. You know what I mean? And they'll be like, "Oh, I see," and all this, right? And then let's face it, if we're working in the restaurant game, then the people are there to eat, right? You know what I mean? They've come to eat. They haven't necessarily come to see you, right, as a performer. They've come to eat. They might have maybe having life issues. That they might be having a separation in marriage, a divorce talk, or any kind of issues that go on in life. If you go to approach that table and they say no, they don't want to see any magic, don't get offended by it. You know what I mean? Because most magicians do. They go, "What do you mean you don't want to see any magic? Of course you want to see some magic. Ha ha ha. Some magic. Ha ha. Look at that. That's your card, isn't it? This will be your card. I'm going to put it in. Take the card." And they're like, "Mate, I said I don't want to see no magic. Do one." And you think, and they get all upset. And next thing you know, you've got a complaint against you. You don't want that. So you just turn around and say, "Okay, thank you very much. If you change your mind later, please let one of the waitresses know. I'll come straight back to you. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you very much for your time. My name's Stephen. Enjoy your meal." And then walk off. Leave it. Go to a table that do want to see it.
Now, on that same sort of pathway here, you're touching down on it a little bit. How do you go about approaching the tables to begin with? Not just drunks, but anybody.
Okay. Well, approaching the table, as I said, I think there's two types of magicians. One where they carry a big bag and they'll get there 3 hours before the event, or an hour before the event, and they'll put it behind the bag, and they'll sit there and they'll wait, and they'll have a little drink first, and then they'll wait a bit more, and then they'll look around, and they'll wait a bit more, and then they'll go, and then they'll start their job, right? And then there's the other type of performer, I think, that will be rushed off his feet to start with to get to the gig. And he's like, "Come on, gotta get to the show, gotta get to the show, gotta get to the show." And he'll get there, he'll go, "Right, can I have a drink?" "Yeah, brilliant." They'll go, "Shh," like that, turn around and go, right, and he's gone. And he doesn't carry a big bag, he just carries what's in him, right? So I'm that one, right? I like to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes before the event, if I can have it, unless it's in the contract where it says I have to be there 3 hours before, or an hour before. But generally, I want to be. I don't like sitting around waiting to do a show. I sit there and I go like this, and I end up going, "Oh, which one do I go to? Which one do I go to? Which one do I go to?" And then next thing you know, I'm not really moving anywhere. I'd rather be buzzing before.
You're
I'm already churning.
So your clients start to question your effectiveness at that point.
Right. So my approach is just like get to the event, look around. I will do maybe a card spring, see if somebody catches their eye, and then I will go straight to that person, because that's they'll go, "Look at that, see that guy did that," and you'll see people looking at you in the corner of the eye, and you get their attention that way. If that's a good little tip, actually. If you're nervous to approach table to start with, because some people are, right? I'm get a bit anxious to go. Just do a card spring, a flourish, or just a fan, and just look around. You'll see somebody clock it, and they'll watch, and they'll go. And as soon as you see a reaction within them, they're the people that want to see the magic. Right, that's the person who wants to see magic. So now this is your first table. This is your first table now. You can now go to that person quite comfortably and turn around and say, "Hi, my name's Joe Bloggs. I'm a professional magician going around tonight doing a bit of magic, etc." Right? So, and it's your, and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, great, I want to see something." You'll just know it. Or you can just approach the table. I've done it before. I just walk in and go, "Okay, I look around, I see a table. They look quite friendly," and go straight to it. You got to warm up a little bit first. So. I hate if I do a wedding and somebody turns around and goes straight away, "Can you come to the top table straight away and perform, please?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I can. Yes, no problem. Yes, I'm on my way." And I'm thinking, "Oh no, I wanna get in. I wanna get in first, I wanna warm up, So yeah, but approaching the table.
That's fantastic advice. I've never quite anybody heard anybody give that advice about doing a floor just to catch the eye. That's a really good piece of advice.
Yeah, it's a great way of doing it. And then of course you just approach the table and introduce yourself. Introduce yourself, who you are, and the name of the company that's hired you, and that it's not going to cost them anything to see what you're about to show them. Would you like to see it now, or after your meal? If you want to give them an alternate close. Yeah, that's your choice. I don't. I just say I'd like to see some magic. you know, I have used it before now, an alternate close. Would you like to see some magic before your meal or after? And then, you know, and they go, oh, you must do some now, or you must do it afterwards. You know, no drama. So yeah, so you got the alternate close approach, or you can just say, would you like to see some magic? You know, and then they'll say yes or no. And your first effect should be a snappy one, a quick one, just to get their attention, to show them what you're about and what to expect, and then progress from there and build up.
Very, very quickly, Aaron Phillips says hi, that he is watching this too.
Hey, Aaron, just wanted your name mentioned, didn't you?
Right, you got it. Now, Wayne Goodman asked another question for you. Where do you see magic heading? What is the future for magic?
It's kind of difficult. Excuse me a second. I just got some. It's kind of difficult. Magic's changed so much in the past years, from when I was a child to now, especially with the internet. You know, hopefully it's going to go to a good place. I'd like to see more DVDs, like the old school DVDs, you know, like videos, like the old school videos. I mean, some people knocked L&L Publishing some years ago for always the same audiences, and Dave, everybody knew Dave more than the magicians, I think, right? You know, so they sort of like give that, there's that taint of something with L&L, but I tell you now, L&L DVDs and video, well, the videos, the performances from all the performers in there's the material on that that you get off it is much more better than a lot of the things you're buying these days. You know, it's all one-trick DVDs and gimmicks, right? Out of the box magic, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with out of the box magic, but there's a point where you think to yourself, if a kid, if I give a trick of an out of box trick, right, to my next door neighbour, right, and he does that trick. You start an absolute crap storm here, you know that, Wayne. Yeah. Wayne knows how I feel about this, and this is why he's chucked this one in. He's sitting in his chair right now, laughing his head off, right? So if I give that trick, out of the box trick, to my next door neighbour, and he does it down the pub, does that make him a magician? I don't think it does, not in my eyes. I think it's just a kid that's pulled a trick out and he's done it, right? That doesn't make him a magician. There's so much more to being a magician than just pulling it out of a box, right? There's the audience management and everything else. And basically, a lot of the tricks that are being produced today are exactly them tricks, right? And people aren't pushing themselves to learn the deeper, the true art of magic. You know, the bit that preceded us all, you know, is being driven away by products basically to make a bit of money. You know, and that's a bold statement, you know, that I should be saying on TV, but it is, you know, it is happening. You know, and there's nothing wrong with products being sold to the magic community in mass volume. That's nothing wrong with that at all. But I just think that not just buy those type of effects is what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with out of the box magic. You know, you can still be a magician, but still learn the other stuff too. Don't give up on the more advanced stuff or card controls and all that, because a lot of the times, but you can do half the tricks that come out with the sleights and stuff like that, or the, you know, controls and that without them. You know, so yeah. So magic is for me is headed in a kind of divided situation. I'm not liking sometimes where magic going. You know, it's changed a little bit for me, especially if considering I've gone to the other side of the coin, as in retail and sharing my ideas. You know, I mean, I shared my ideas because my health issue 3 years ago took a turn for the worse. I had a heart attack, and I wanted sort of my ideas and concepts to be out there for not just, well, to give back to what magic gave me, and it helped me out through from schooling to now. You know, because of dyslexia, I had a lot of problems at school. You know, and from there to there, I wanted to give back something as a thank you, and also my family can look back on. It was not about the money. You know, although it's nice to have money. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's if you can earn all these years of hard practice. You know, maybe there is some coinage there that can come home, you know, which is nice, you know. So yes, now it's become a little bit more about the money, and I try and stop that from happening too much. I try and sit there and I keep my feet firmly on the ground, and I say, right, I am Steve, that's me. I'm still the same person I was before. I'm not going to get on the high and mighty and go, look at me, I'm the dog's beat, you know, I'm the nuts, you know. I want to be able to just be me, enjoy my magic. Hopefully, other people like my magic. You know, and it's humbling that when people come back to me.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, the next question I have for you, we have just about enough time for a couple of one-on-one questions, folks. So
Okay.
get those last 2 or 3 in here for us. Valentin asked one again. He said, "What was the last effect that fooled you?"
That fooled me.
That fooled you. Just laid you out.
I think we're like us all magicians. It's difficult to be fooled these days. I'm trying to think of one that I'm trying to get. I know there's been some recently as well, and I just can't place them in my head. But as soon as you said it, one came into my head that made me in awe. Right, it wasn't necessarily a fooling trick, and it was Bruno Copin's butterfly effect. Although I've got I've got the butterfly pass, that has no relevance whatsoever. I was at Blackpool. I know, right? And he did like a whirlwind card on top of the deck where your card spins, and he takes one card and spins it, and your card animates over and turns around. Yeah. You know the one, right? When I saw him do that at Blackpool, I just spent £300 on a electronic device, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bought from upstairs, and I was downstairs and I saw Bruno, and he says, "Let me show you this," and he showed me, and I went, "Oh my god!" And I was nearly died on the spot. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe what I'm witnessing," you know. And even though I was like, it's got to be thread. It has to be thread. But I'm still looking at the cards to see if it's some kind of mechanical like vibration unit or something inside of it, you know. But he did it so flawlessly that it didn't enter my head that it was thread, you know. Well, it kind of did, but it wasn't that. That wasn't even the interest in it. It was that wasn't even. I didn't even think about the method. I just thoroughly enjoyed the effects, you know. And that's the one that really got me. And he says, "Let me." I remember him saying to me, "Stephen, I'll show you something else." And he went, "I went, what for?" I said, "Why are you going to show me something else? There's nothing possibly that could beat that for me, you know." And then by my reaction, there was just crowds coming around the table. You know, I must have done him good, to be honest. But after my reaction, because I was like a proper layman again. You know, I was like,
yeah.
Wow! I want one. But I just spent all my dough. I was just spending my last bit of money, and I was like, "Oh, Bruno, mate, I've just spent on this." And I was thinking, can I get a refund? Because I really want this. But yeah. So, but I would say the butterfly effect by Bruno Copin was probably one of the magical moments for me. For a close-up effect, using what he was using was magical. It was a magical moment. So yeah, very good effect.
Very good. Now, Wayne Goodman, you kind of got a little bit of a psychic melting going on with me here, because I was going to ask that very question that he just asked. How would you change TV magic, and what would you suggest as a good format for a TV show?
Okay, I think I understand that some TV magic has to be edited, right? It's a given, right? There has to be edits on TV magic because if you've got a camera burning in your hand the whole time, then the people can rewind and play and all that jazz, right? Hence why a lot of magical trailers these days are altering the way of doing it, not showing the full effect and stuff like that, because people rewind stuff all the time, and then they get the method, and then they lose out on profit, and the other people are gaining, and etc. I'm not going to get into that debate, but anyway, TV magic. TV magic was. I think it's good. I think it's good, but I think Paul Daniels did it the best. I think for me, right? Paul Daniels says it all. Paul Daniels like my hero when I was a kid, right? Even now, I still admire Paul Daniels, right? Because he'd done a show on TV 14 years, right? 15 years maybe a little bit longer.
15, yeah.
14, 15 years. I thought it was 20, but I think I researched it on Wikipedia. I think it was about 14, 15.
Yeah.
Now, to sustain 14 years of magic on TV, each week, day in, day out, must have been the most stressful thing under the sun. You know, to cope with that, it was massive. He used to have I went to his masterclass once, and he did. I always remember him saying that he not only misdirected the audience, he misdirected the cameraman and the producers, you know, that were in a box that he couldn't even see. So, you know, for him to do, say, like, you know, for instance, he might have had to do a pass, right? I think it was. He'd have to turn around to the audience and say, "Look at his face." You know, and then also the producer, he'd know the producer was shouting to the cameraman, "Camera 2 to his face, camera 2 to his face," and the cameraman would look up to the spectator's face, and he could cut the cards. Don't have to do a pass, you could just cut them because there's no heat on his hands right now. So he would misdirect the cameras, right? So Paul Daniels' format, I think, was still cracking, and I think it would still work today if you got the right magicians in, yeah, because he also pulled in like the likes of Max Maven, Juan Tamres. You know, and all the rest, right? He brought them into the shows, you know, which was fantastic. So he gives other people opportunities, not just the person who's performing on TV. So I think that's a great thing. And to have that format where you are the star of the show, but be able to bring other performers in with their card skills, with their whatever skills, stage skills, like Pendragons, they were on there, you know, and they were amazing, you know, and Charlotte Pendragon, and everybody was just, you get what I mean? So that format, I think, worked for such a long time, and I think it could still work, but it just needs updating to the modern time of magic, you know? So yeah, so I think if you carry with the Paul Daniels format, I think that would still work. I think it would still work, but just, and you're making other people known as well, so it's benefiting everybody.
Very good.
That's my answer.
Well, that looks like it's all the questions we have. Nobody sent anything anywhere, so I think you've done a pretty good job of answering everybody's questions.
Okay.
With the exception of earlier, Wayne Goodman said you were a little bit late because you had to find boxers to match your cap.
It was a thong, actually. It was a thong that I had the issues with, and the high heels and the barbed wire bra.
Man, you got to get your start somewhere, you know.
Oh, yeah. All
right, well, thank you, folks, for being here today, listening to Stephen Leathwaite. Thank you to my fellow admins for moderating the chat room, to Laura Izili, of course, a good friend of Stephen, for setting this up at last minute with us. And last but certainly not least, thank you to you, Stephen, for being here, answering all of the questions, giving your insights, your experience, and all of your thoughts for this. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And cheers, guys, for coming to watch. And then thanks, Wayne, for all the duff questions you asked me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll look forward to being able to do it again.
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thanks, Laura. And thanks to yourself for hosting this this tonight. So thank you very much, sir.
All right. Well, that's it, folks. Have a great day. And remember to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. Have a great week.